Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Quake World Championships 2017. QuakeCon 2017. Are you ready for a grand final? I'm not sure. They told me QuakeCon crowds were good crowds. Can we do that again? Okay, all right, okay. I want all of that power, all of that passion for Quake to pour out onto this stage in the next 2 minutes, because we're going to introduce you to the two grand finalists in the 1v1 competition. Our first player is a legend in his own lifetime. He is a CPMA god from the old days. You've all seen the video, you've all seen the movement, but there's been 12 years, a gap that needs to stop right now. Please welcome Vo0. And his opponent. Up to this point in time, very many people in the audience and all around the world watching will have said the words, "Who the hell is clawz?" And the reason for that is because this kid has come from nowhere. He won a grand sum of $277 in his career until this weekend. Today he makes history as not only the sacrifice champion, but he's also in the duels. Please welcome clawz! Okay, we're going to get a word with these two before we let them sit down. We won't keep you too much longer. I imagine, after such a long time of hurt and pain and wanting to play in big finals, this means an awful lot to you, but put it in your own words for me.
Let me put it this way. The last time I played a final, I still had hair.
Does it grow back if you win?
I hope not.
I'm going to wish you all the very best, Vo. It's great to have you in the grand final. clawz, I can't believe what a great route you have had to not only the sacrifice finals, but also the 1v finals. So talk to me now, how cool is it to be on the stage at QuakeCon playing in a 1v1 championship final?
I have no words to describe it at the moment. I still didn't figure out this feeling, how it feels.
How do you focus on the game now?
Yeah, I'm focused.
Okay, he's focused, Vo's ready. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this grand final kicked off between Vo and clawz. Gents?
Good luck, man.
All right. They're going to get sat down, get ready. We're moments away from this grand final starting. First, let's get the thoughts of an expert panel led by the wicked, the brilliant, the legendary DJ Wheat.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more honored to be sitting on this desk, not only with Machiavelli and Zoot, but like having these two players here representing multiple eras, representing the fact that Quake is not going anywhere. You know, the new blood. At one point, you were new blood. At one point, Immortal was new blood. At one point, Z4 was new blood. At one point, Vo was. And this is kind of clawz moment. And I think it's really great that we've got someone like Vo, who's such a seasoned veteran, going up against them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a super special final for the Quake World Championships. And you know, let's kick off the discussion. I mean, we have a lot to talk about for both of these players. You've dug up some interesting stats too. That
I got a whole heap of them at the moment. But one thing that Red Eye forgot to mention: there's also 50 cents added to the $277.
That 50 cents is important.
And if he wins the duel as well as the sacrifice that he's already won, he would have increased his lifetime earnings 630 times, or it's the equivalent of 4 billion Vietnamese dong.
There you go. And you know what? I might even give him the 50 cents, just to like have a nice round number when everything's said and done. But let's actually just introduce our players. There's so much to talk about here. We got to see him just a moment ago. But let's look at the player sheet for Vo. We've mentioned the fact over the course of the weekend that there's been a gap between the last time that he's won a tournament. But, you know, as Red Eye mentioned, go watch the videos, the number of demos. I was telling these guys earlier, like the number of matches I cast between Vo and Rat, another legendary CP CPM player. It's like ungodly, and to me, he is like on a pedestal above a lot of other players, and maybe not because of his Quake 3 champions or 2 champions, but what he did in CPMA and what he stood for and sheer passion for the game was amazing. Of course, his opponent, clawz. Let's just dive right into it, gentlemen. We got a best of 5 in front of us, $100,000 on the line. Machiavelli, what do you think?
Both fantastic players. I'm going to stick, prediction-wise, I've been going with youth here in the finals. I really think clawz pulls this out, although Vo is certainly not going to be an easy opponent. I like the story of Vo. It's kind of similar to my own because he, retired at 20 and went to college to get a career, and now he's back. And it's very impressive to take such time off and come back and regain such good form like he has. It says a lot about his own ability, but this 19-year-old kid, you brought up a name earlier, and that's kind of who he reminds me of, the way he plays. Immortal. He's very much just in your face, although he doesn't talk nearly as much trash. This kid has a nice, quiet confidence. Yeah, he plays very much, to me, like Kurt, Immortal used to play, very much in your face, forcing engagements. He has very, he's confident in his aim. He just feels like, I'm going to come at you and let the chips fall where I may. You're not going to beat me. I'm going to out-aim you. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And I love that aggression in him. I think it's great.
Absolutely. Just a quick note, clawz has won 10 corrupted keeps in his career in Quake Champions and only lost once. He hasn't lost it at all at this tournament and has not lost a single competitive match since the 1st of July at the Cooler Cup online. So stats are going to give me the prediction for clawz.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, both players, we got the new blood, we have the old blood, but how do they feel about this matchup? Let's check in and find out.
Vo is a really good player, but he got to try harder now.
I like to think that the experience that I have gives me an edge. When I started playing games, the kid wasn't even born.
Properly on this, chipping away with those rockets. He landed to it. He's going to push these stats out really cooler. There he goes straight towards the issue, and they're still just.
Yeah, my advantage is that I have 0 nerfs at all, so I'm pretty confident.
In 2005, I played the Painkiller World Tour, where I was in good shape before the final, but then I just played a horrible match, and I lost. I can say, this is my redemption.
Experienced players doesn't bother me at all.
clawz is aggressive, I play methodical.
And I'll stay focused and calm.
And I think I'm going to win.
Certainly confidence from both of these players, but really interesting to hear the new blood, clawz, say, you know what, I don't really get nervous. I'm okay with the experience. He's accepted the fact that there are people that have probably been playing this game before he was born, but that doesn't bother him. Vo, on the other hand, he does talk a little bit about his nerves. He talks about, I've been up there, I know what it's like, and it does make me a little nervous. And, like in the defense of Vo, I kind of feel like that's when we're going to get his best play. I've definitely seen him play his best games versus the highest tier of opponents. And I mean, clawz may be new blood, but he's certainly at the upper echelon.
Now, Vo definitely wears his heart on his sleeve.
He does, yeah.
He's a very emotional player, but he has prepared so much for this tournament. It means a huge amount to him to be able to come this far. He wasn't even necessarily meant to play the duel considering everything that led up to QuakeCon, but he's someone who was going to be desperate for that title.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point, too. The fact that he didn't actually qualify, had to fight his way back through.
Yeah, it's almost like the stars are aligning for Vo. Maybe this is destiny for him to come back and win. That's kind of one of those things. And speaking about clawz, as they say, a little bit of fear is a good thing. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you, from overextending, especially in Quake. You don't want to be, you got to have a little bit of fear. I think it's healthy. So, it's nice to say you're not nervous at all, but, I'd like to think there's no way you're on that stage and not feeling a little something underneath.
Small white lies.
Just a little something underneath,
I mean, to put it into the sort of plays that we should be expecting between these two in a few moments, I mean, as you mentioned already, clawz is a hyper-aggressive being, and he's going to be going for the jugular constantly. We did notice in the group stages when they faced off already in a close best of 3 that after losing the first map, clawz then picked Anarchy and beat Vo at his own game.
Yeah.
So expect that crazy aggression, but against Vo's unbelievable defensive plays. It should be really interesting how this pans out, and it is very difficult.
Yeah, you know, you said clawz goes for the jugular, and I just feel like he has a very confident aggro style of play. I've always been a big fan of that style of play, but after what I've seen from Vo this weekend, I do feel like sort of his speed and calculation is where his strengths are. If he can sort of outsmart his opponent clawz in that game, not let him get aggressive, or choose maps that, you know, might favor his play a little bit more. That's going to be tough, though. In a best of 5, you've got to go the distance here.
Outthinking your opponent, you said it best right there. That's what a match is going to come down to. We have some contrasting styles, you know, for clawz, you know, for him to win. Obviously, his keys to victory are, you know, to get aggressive, get in his face, get around the map quickly. For Vo, you got to think, lay some traps, right? Make this guy run into some rockets and try to force, you know, keep solid map control. Keep him on his heels to where he doesn't feel like he can get aggressive. If you can slow clawz down, I think Vo would have done a big thing.
Definitely.
Well, we got a couple of folks who are going to lend their voices to this final as well. Gentlemen, I want to hear what you think about this match. I know you're about to talk a lot about it through this best of 5, but what do you think of this grand finals here?
This is absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, this is the oldest story that you could possibly think of. The old blood versus the new kid on the block. I mean, it's a classic.
We are here in the final, and I don't think we've really seen a final with such an emotional connection. We have Vo essentially coming out of retirement out of nowhere to be back into the final, and a newcomer to the stage, which is clawz. So it is definitely a clash of generations, but also a clash of styles, what the analyst said. And it's that clash of styles where we're going to win or see the winner or loser of this competition, because I think that Vo was able to channel the aggression that Avec has an advantage in the quarterfinals. And this is a player with far more experience and pedigree than one like clawz. But clawz is a different beast altogether. So I would say for a best of 3, I would always favor clawz. A best of 5, however, that's a different story.
It seems like, I mean, for us over here at the caster booth, this is too hard for us to call, guys.
I don't necessarily disagree with you guys. I think it's a tough one to call. I also want to say, you know, clawz has a little bit of support here. I understand that his uncles in the audience cheering him on as well. And of course, Vo has a fan base that has been around for years now. But we're going to look at the maps, which we have discussed are going to play a really crucial role here in this game. You know, can he match the aggression? And what are the map choices that we see?
So what's interesting is that clawz has actually picked Ruins of Sarnath, which is the map that he lost 3-0 in the group stage versus Vo. And Vo picked Blood Run, which is a map that he lost versus clawz. So I find that really peculiar. I think when it's going to get really interesting is Corrupted Keep, because that's a map they've both had a lot of success on, but you can't ignore the fact that clawz has only lost that map once in a competitive setting in Quake Champions.
Yeah, I think
that's impressive.
Yeah, I think Corrupted Keep really feeds into his style of play. Smaller map, fast pace. You can cut people off really quickly. So I definitely like that map for him, especially for his style, especially. I don't think it favors a more defensive style of play because there's not much where you can go, you know, so well, it's a smaller map.
He's said he's got the best LG in the world, too, self-proclaimed. And, like, that is a perfect map for that. No railgun, you know, a lot of really smart play. LG is king on that map as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not surprised to see him come out, especially, dude, after you gave all of the information regarding his stats. That's really impressive. And we talked, remember we were talking about, has any one player claimed a map yet? Maybe we've got a player claiming a map.
That's it, yeah. I think so. Corrupted Keep, and I mentioned that he's only lost it once in a competitive setting. He hasn't lost it at all at QuakeCon. So that is pretty massive in my opinion.
Gentlemen, I don't mean to cut you off, but we are seconds away from this matchup. Ladies and gentlemen, the grand finals of the Quake World Champions. It's Vo versus clawz. Take it away, casters.
This is where it all begins. Ruins of Sarnath on Vo's perspective to begin with. And he's already picked himself up a rocket launcher. That's a great start. He can work with this on the Sorlag as well.
And that is the start. clawz beginning with the Anarchy. That's a little bit of a surprise with me. So we have seen the first engagement here. Great rockets from Vo.
Yeah, that's a really good combination of damage there. But look at this, what on earth is happening? Oh, still gets it though. Vo able to react quite quickly there to a sneaky clawz to pick up the first kill.
First blood in the QuakeCon finals goes to Vo with a hyper-aggressive move coming out from clawz.
And still just the aggression does not stop, but the rockets even better there from Vo. And he'll collect himself a lovely heavy armor to replenish his lost stack. And this is definitely the pace you want to start a grand finals with.
Most certainly, but not the pace that clawz would want to start with. If we thought the occasion was going to get to him, we are wrong. He is continuing with his full frontal aggression, but not paying off at the minute because Vo is coming out prepared.
And this is a really big deal here. We were going for the aggression. I'm not sure if he landed the assist, but he actually missed it. And it will be clawz able to edge away to retreat into safety, or relative safety though, because Vo will pick up the Mega. He's going to be able to stack up quite nicely on that one. Although he'll be aware that clawz did just pick up that that heavy armor, and he's waiting for it. He could trap him here by the jump, and the LG comes out. Will it be enough? No! It's going to be clawz back in the action here with the return kill. It's not done just yet, but he's left quite weak.
How unfortunate. There was a moment there where I believe Vo was going to push down into the red armor. He had the stack advantage. He had the timing, but just playing conservatively here in the first round of this final.
Absolutely, and he'll get some information as to where Vo is now. Just hurling those rockets from above. He's been quite good on the rockets so far, but none will truly connect that much at least, as clawz picks up another big chunk of armor. Heavy collected.
clawz saving the Sorlag for the last pick of this round. It was the Sorlag that we did see demolish Cooler, so that was why I was slightly surprised to see it coming out late as he pushes it with the lightning gun going on Vo.
Wow.
Excellent. I mean,
that was decisive.
It was, and Anarchy is exceptionally hard to hit. Vo and clawz making it look decisively easy.
Yeah, that LG very strong on clawz. I mean, we've all heard him speaking about how proficient he feels he is with it. Now he's showing it to us in the grand finals here, QuakeCon 2017, as he looks to find Vo once again. Goes for the pursuit here. Vo dashing through the teleporter, trying to evade what he knows is a stronger clawz in this moment, missing the rail on that pursuit. clawz looks like he's going to get caught in midair there. Very nice engagement picked by Vo as he backs away, but he's left too weak, and that's the beauty of playing Sorlag. You've got health for days.
Vo was prepared at every turn, but this is the problem. If you allow clawz to get settled, he will continue to pressure you and pressure you and pressure you. And when you're on a Nyx without the Ghost Walk, there is no turning back. Great start from Vo, though, so let's see if he can keep that up.
And that was, I have to say, a very quick first round between these two players. Starting things off aggressively as we get the beginning of this next round being all about collecting those initial weapons, getting that LG, getting that rail, getting that rocket launcher, and we'll see that clawz will be geared up with all of those now.
For sure. Both playing slightly tentatively at the start of this game, as they both need to collect the starting weapons, which are separated by quite a different distance on Ruins of Sarnath.
So do you feel like we'll see, sorry, actually we're going to have to hang on to that thought because in comes the challenge onto heavy. clawz will be able to pick that one up, but I was going to ask you about generally the choice of strategies. Some players in a series like this will start things off passive, but that's not the case here, as we can see. Going aggressive is clawz with that Anarchy of his, and he will take the acid spits. He's got to be really careful now because that's a lot of info and damage for Vo.
I mean, it has become a common legend already, clawz's aim, and Vo going into this knew that he was at a deficit in that section. But what he's doing is particularly what he's semi-baiting clawz to go on the aggressive and then turning around in these choke points and really cornering him, and it's worked particularly well in a few occasions.
Now we'll have to see whether clawz will live, well, I think it's a case of live by the sword, die by the sword as far as clawz's aggression goes, because he does seem to be very aggressive in some of these situations, but it has indeed calmed down somewhat as he is now looking for Vo. clawz could be a bit more stacked. He did collect the Mega, of course, but there's the next light armor for him to have.
And clawz, yes, as you just mentioned, is taking it slightly slower. He has moderated it. It's not all-out aggression like we saw, for instance, in the Razy series.
Oh, look at this, though. Looks like Vo understands how to play against the Anarchy. He catches him, he waits around the corner. The common strategy uses the acid spit with the body block, and that's going to be that for clawz.
Exactly, reading clawz like a book, and once again, but he has the Ghost Walk up this time if he needs to use it.
And he will indeed pop it, but Vo is quite low, so be really careful trying to use the prediction for the rockets there. Understood what clawz was trying to do, but could not have. Oh, you have to be joking. clawz by the skin of his teeth, surviving.
Obviously, Vo does not know that, but that is probably the most frustrating situation in Quake.
This does feel like a very fast-paced Ruins overall between these two players, and of course both do really like aggression, generally speaking. It's funny to see that Vo might be the player that we'll see be very defensive in a series, but he's up against clawz, and clawz will pull out the LG as he arises through the jump pad. It's going to be a situation where he's going to have to back away here and fall back onto the items. Both are spawning soon.
For sure, Vo is going to take this much slower. He is a more methodical player. He can go on the aggressive if he needs to, and that's what makes him particularly scary. And as we've seen in Vo's previous series, he is extremely adept at adapting as he goes through the rounds. And this is this is a perfect example. He's managed to slow it down far, far quicker than he did in the previous round already.
And this is a great position. Good vantage point for information. Gets the drop onto Vo. There's nowhere for Vo to turn. Has to go for the inject, but he is the victim as clawz uses that LG to perfect effect. And that's now going to be a nice heavy as a result as well. The rewards just keep on coming from for clawz as he now is ready to push the issue once again.
And he has plenty of time left. There is 2 minutes remaining, and there is only a 1 champion deficit. There is no reason for Vo to panic, and I can't see at this stage clawz particularly wanting to go on the defensive. That's just not in his nature.
So how does Vo deal with this situation? He's, of course, has some time to work with, but as you say, that he has to kill at least 1 champion here to force that sudden death situation, the overtime. And clawz is going to realize this. I mean, I would be surprised if clawz was to try to push into Vo when he can just use that Ghost Walk.
Exactly, and I think the way in which Vo needs to approach this is to try and get the rail game moving a bit more.
Well, that is a big setback for Vo.
Because at the moment, clawz is realizing exactly what Vo wants to do in trapping him around these corners, and he himself is playing far more positional. They are very aggressive positions up on the walls, up on the high ground, but he's getting perfect vantage points on Vo and just hitting easy rails, which then forces Vo on the back foot again until another major item comes up.
Yeah, this is great presence of mind here from clawz. Slowing things down, he might have an opportunity though. All he has to do is hit 1 rail every so often, and that buys him even more time. But Vo is getting to the point of desperation here. 30 seconds to go. Looks like clawz's aggression there will not work out, but he still has the Ghost Walk available to get himself out of any horrible situations that Vo might be able to find for clawz.
Exactly, and that is the key, because Vo essentially needs to kill clawz twice.
And look at this, backing through onto the connector position, forcing Vo into his LG. Vo can't sustain that damage, and finally we see the Ghost Walk. Somehow Vo is keeping the pressure on, but he's really got no choice here. clawz respecting that, will fall all the way back onto the heavy. That's a beautiful pickup for him to get in this situation. Vo needs to land absolutely everything, but he misses, and that's another round for clawz, the 19-year-old.
The 19-year-old indeed, and it was awesome from clawz to have that presence of mind to play a far more of a passive game than he began starting with. And Vo, for me, definitely needs to pick up the pace of the game when clawz isn't on that saw lag, and maybe even not on the Anarchy. The only problem is when you see, such as in this replay, that level of aim that clawz is coming out, you need to have extremely smart attacks.
And the margins are so small between these players, as you can see there. The 1 HP survival, and clawz just demonstrating once again that his prowess with all of these weapons in tandem is something very special indeed. And he's going to be in a position now to, after the health pickups, to defend here. Vo can't really push the issue, and look how clawz is able to fall back into position onto that heavy as well. So this has worked out wonderfully well for clawz, and he's just ready to go once again.
That is completely true, but I'm relatively pleased to see a slight change in the strategy of Vo in this early round, pushing in far more aggressively. Just a bit unfortunately on the early engagement, but a nice secondary push with the Anarchy.
And now the question starts to arise in our minds. Will Vo be able to deal with the mechanics that clawz has to bring to the table? Well, that's a fantastic rocket, but somehow clawz still able to deal the damage. Fantastic rail from distance. And once again, settling back onto the heavy armor. It's like clockwork here for clawz, and this level of comfort must be quite concerning now for Vo. Especially now coming into the next engagement and forcing the Ghost Walk. The presence on the map from clawz is absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, I was coming into this series, I was thinking, how would the sacrifice affect clawz? If he lost, it might affect his mental state. Maybe he'll be slightly fatigued, but it turns out that it seems at least his aim, and even now his brain, is on fire.
He does indeed look very warm. Now another pickup of a big item. Seems like Vo has not picked up a big item in some time. Mega is in 5 seconds, and clawz is on the scene with a better stack. Hits the rail as well. There's no chance for Vo to challenge this now. And it looks like clawz with the Anarchy will go straight back in. And predicting the double back, that's another round for him. Beautiful start from clawz. This looks absolutely ridiculous right now. That first map was so incredibly quick, and Vo already finds himself on the back foot, but at least for Vo, it is a best of 5 here.
Indeed, and clawz's aim is on fire. Vo is not playing at the same level as he was yesterday, particularly on the mechanical front. He is working upstairs, but he just needs to hit more of his shots. clawz, on the other hand, the first kind of few frags were a bit sketchy, but since then he's definitely toned it down. He's playing positional, playing very aware of what Vo wanted to do, and he's just sitting back, hitting more shots and moving in for the kill. Textbook play coming out from clawz.
And clawz is the man that we do expect to win on paper. The real question is whether or not he's born to be on the grand final stage and be a grand final or a winner as well. That's really the question, because that, of course, takes something special. The level of pressure and just being able to just focus in, to dial everything in, to be able to never lose your focus and make stupid mistakes. Because ultimately, that's really what it comes down to. That pressure forcing mistakes out of players. And this is where the champions are made. And it's good to see so far that he's got such a convincing beginning to this story.
For sure, and you're speaking, is clawz a champion? Well, he's facing a multi-world champion from previous times, and clawz is the one that looks more settled in this grand final.
And sometimes you have to consider, what is the way that I lost that map? And how do you think Vo is processing that? Because we saw so many situations where clawz just bullied him in every scenario.
Well, we saw him try 2 different tactics, and it was the format that was working. The problem is Ruins is slightly more open as a duel map than the others coming into this series. So I would expect Vo to fall back into the first strategy he adopted, where he wants the clawz to push into him, and that's when I was talking about how Vo may be able to channel clawz's over-aggression into his favor. But at the end of the day, you still need to have a presence on the map. You need to get on those major items, you need to get on the heavy armor, you need to get on the mega health, and you need to make yourself imposed, because if you let clawz get that momentum, you get that snowball effect where he is able just to continually pressurize you. The most impactful factor in that match for me was not the lightning gun of clawz, even if it was amazing. It was the way in which he held his ground and hit rails before he was able to use that lightning gun. He knew he could then be aggressive because he was willing to sacrifice a lot of his life knowing that Vo was weak. So Vo needs to try and contain the rail gun and just play more positionally, and Blood Run is an ideal map to do that. And that's why I believe even though he lost this in the group stages, like that Zoot Statman pointed out to us, I do believe that this can suit him if he adapts his play to it.
Absolutely, and this match, I can't really begin to imagine what it really means for Vo to be in this position. I don't think he truly really understands at this point as well. I mean, it's, again, 10 years since he was really in a position like this. He may have thought that this would never happen again, and I know, from talking to a lot of these players, from being, a competitor myself in the past, that you can never replace the feeling of competing. You can never really replace that, and to once again for him to find himself in a grand final after just going, basically putting all of his focus on this, must be something special. But can he bring things back here? We're into map 2 here. It is Blood Run. clawz already a map up, taking runes to Sarnath, and let's see if he can get another good start here. If Vo can bounce back. Has he found something in the downtime between maps to bring himself back into the forefront?
Hopefully so. We know on this map in particular, on Blood Run, Sorlag is potent. Vo believes it is the strongest map for the champion, and it is great to use round those corners, running in with the spit, doing massive amount of damage. You also have a strong stack to play with, and this map is a lot easier to maintain that stack because you have these small corridors you can keep away, and it's also a lot easier to build it. So expect a strong Sorlag to come out from Vo. That could be his best hope.
Already we can see a more tentative approach between the players. Respect given, not trying to overstep just yet.
Exactly, and this is what I've been extremely impressed by coming out from clawz, because everybody's been speaking up his hyper-aggressive style, his aim, the way he likes to push. But if you look, he's playing equally methodical as Vo, keeping away, making sure he hits his rails, not pushing in. That is, again, another sign of a potential champion.
And right now as well, he's going to be able to pick up that heavy, and this might be the cue to go in here. If he gets some good LG, he could maybe push the issue. That is quite some good LG, but the angles, the pursuit might be a bit awkward. He will go around the back here, use that speed of Anarchy, diving through the choke point there. A rocket comes out. That's enough to finish the business with the lightning gun there. Fantastic work from clawz, and he has a mega waiting for him every single time we see him getting these frags on ruins as well. There's always a big item up for him to recover quickly with afterwards.
And that is very important because it means, once again, he can push in before Vo has any weaponry to defend himself, and that's what I should expect him to do.
Vo here playing a dangerous game, trying to challenge into the open through the choke point onto their heavy. clawz is having none of that. Picks himself up their heavy, and he's going to be swinging on round through the rocket position here to find himself, build himself some speed and find that engagement with Vo. Can't quite find something easily, whipping the rails, but he's picked up the mega health, and that's the important part.
It is, but clawz looking very healthy here. Vo not so much so, but now he does have weapons to defend himself.
And here it comes, clawz, or rather Vo wants to get into clawz's LG, but clawz can't quite find the engagement he's looking for. Vo all the same as well, missing some of his shots right now, and this is very problematic for Vo. Another miss. And that is something he has to change. He can't keep missing these rails. That's the way back in for him.
It is the simplest thing to analyze in a game, to say when someone is hitting their shots there, and that's why they're winning. But at the end of the day, this is a first-person shooter, and that's what you must do to win your games.
Can he find some connections here? That's a beautiful one. Good prediction, Rocket, using the sound on the map to his advantage, and then knowing when to pull the trigger. And he will realize as well what position the clawz is in. Again, missing one of these rails, and you can see how smart Vu's playing. He just can't quite connect the damage just yet, but that might change. Close range engagement forces clawz back. He has to use the inject. We haven't seen too much of that just yet. There's the rail, but the Mega's waiting, ready and waiting. I don't think Vu was thinking about that, and he has to back away once again. So close there. Almost got clawz down. Vu is doing a good job, all things considered.
That is completely true. Moving in.
And here comes clawz again, trying to go for the pursuit, but he will take one straight in the face. Vu once again, always just able to be a step ahead of clawz, but again, clawz just barely escaping each time.
Vu is absolutely on point strategically.
Yeah.
It's just that final execution that needs to be improved. That he
Ooh, there it is. I was worried. That was a great rocket pop from clawz, but Vu finishes it, and that's going to be a great frag from him to equalize. It took him a while to get there, but his patience and smart play was rewarded eventually.
Every rocket you hit, every champion you kill, every round you get, Vu will get a little bit more settled in this match as he finds his feet and feels on equal footing. So that is exactly what he needs to move forward, one step at a time, grinding it out.
We had a heavy just collected by clawz there, so clawz is in the spot where he might be thinking, okay, how can I get some damage? How can I create an engagement here to pressure Vu?
But we did see on the previous map, clawz he doesn't mind to play a slow game, especially with the mix. And that, again, is great play from clawz.
Good dodge there of the rocket from Vu as the pressure comes in from clawz. Vu doesn't like standing on the bridge there in that situation. Will fall back and away there through the teleporter. Knows that the heavy's up, so he's got to be very careful here. Not entirely sure exactly where clawz went. Heavy is going to be collected by clawz. Vu should have been able to hear that one as well. And that's unfortunate for him, a missed possibility on the resources. But playing patiently now. They are even on champions as we approach the sudden death. And there's a good rocket. That's going to stop clawz. Not enough damage, though, to really worry clawz all that much.
Not at all, but it's perfect play from Vu. Again, utilizing the sound cues, having great awareness for where clawz is going to come from. Firstly, to do the initial damage, but also to protect himself there. So if clawz does want to make these hyper-aggressive moves...
This next kill wins, and there it is. clawz picks up the round. It was a clutch rail to do it, and really a grand final stage is all about the battle of clutch. Yesterday we saw Vu with just impeccable focus and clutch plays, but this is where it all matters.
Yeah, it's just a case that for Vu, he needs if it's not going to work out, he needs to get away from there, because clawz, again, is just hitting all the clutch shots. Another great frag coming out from clawz on that initial opening on the heavy armor.
And clawz just seems a step ahead so far in this grand finals. Again, as mentioned, Vu definitely making a lot of great moves. It's just right now clawz just on absolute fire off of that sacrifice grand final win. From a mechanics perspective, he's hitting everything. Vu has to match that.
And as we spoke about, he has the presence of mind to back off when he doesn't have the inject up. This could be a kill.
Oh, can he escape clawz? So cheeky. I love that he was so low but still came in for a rail and somehow turns that back onto Vu. What on earth is this guy able to somehow steal away the Mega after Vu was in position, dealt the damage? clawz still, he always finds a way to get aggressive, and here it is again, goes for the finishing blows, has the LG out, but it's going to be Vu with a nail gun.
Yeah, it was a good play by clawz, but finally Vu finding his feet, hitting the relevant shots with the nail gun, which does obviously incredible damage.
Yeah, it's hard to account for how much it's going to do. It's so unpredictable. Good rocket there from Vu to try to push clawz off the Mega, but it will be clawz's. Still the weapon advantage there is with Vu. If he can push the issue, he knows it. Falling back onto the LG. There's the frag. Vu makes it happen, and now it's trouble for clawz.
Vu obviously needs to play defensive, that much we know, but there is a balance between being too defensive. He's letting clawz get away essentially with murder with these severely arrogant plays, pushing him for items he has no right being at. Vu just needs to stand his ground a little bit more.
Oh my god, that was a close one. Whew, that was definitely very scary for Vu, but he does survive to tell the tale. It's a great rocket there defensively to catch the aggression that clawz was looking for, a good chunk, that's 70 damage there, and that's going to definitely force clawz to think about this one twice, as Vo plays it patient once again.
And notably with the Sorlag, it's very, very important you don't just get away off the map, because once that Sorlag has a stack, there will be no stopping clawz. So Vo needs to make sure he continually does this chip damage that keeps clawz at bay and stops him from pushing in when he basically wants to at will.
And this is a big problem right now because we had the Mega collected by clawz, so he is feeling quite healthy. He's got a good stack of armor with him. The spit lands on Vo, gets the inject though, and also is able to escape it. Very, very tough situation. In comes clawz once again. He wants to finish this one. He's trying to close it down, but Sorlag is simply too slow against Anarchy.
This is exactly what I was talking about. As you just mentioned, clawz picking up the Mega and just felt confident to bully himself in there. The only way to stop that is to try and hit your shots around those items, so it really nullifies the effect of picking them up.
clawz has plenty of time here to try to even the situation on the champions.
Exactly, but I don't imagine, I think Vo is happy. I think Vo wants to play down the clock, and there is no better map to do that than Bloodrunner.
Yeah, on that Anarchy, perfect champion indeed for it, and he will make his way out there. Bit of LG damage, and it's important to keep the pressure on. And got to be careful. Vo might be caught here. Rail will whiff there for clawz. That could have been it, but clawz has to be careful. 80 health, and he's on his last champion. And Vo,
what a shot!
Fantastic flick shot there. Vertical rail to finish the round. Done in style, and that's exactly what you're talking about, ZSX. He's starting to find his feet. He
is starting to find his feet. So now we have a match in our hands. I do like the way clawz is playing. There's obviously the old common saying, play to win, don't try not to lose. And I like the way he's going out to win this match, not just avoid defeat. That's proactive, and that's definitely something to put the advocate for.
clawz there on the Anarchy. He's going to take a face full of spit. Never feels nice. No. Never feels good. It's green and horrible smelling. It's going to be clawz now, though, putting the pressure back onto Vo, or trying to do so. Vo was playing the Anarchy versus Sorlag dynamic quite well, so I'm quite curious to see how well clawz is able to do the same. And you can see Vo just playing it around the mid-level at the moment, actually dropping down for the Mega.
For sure, and clawz is not afraid of the Sorlag, so I definitely think when there is this dynamic and this matchup that exists, Vo should have the initiative. He needs to be a little bit more proactive, the way in which clawz is playing.
clawz gets away with the still onto the heavy there. I thought that was quite the risky move, but he's going to be looking in great stead now that he's picked it up and has some health on his under his belt as well, as he is searching desperately for Vo's position. But we saw how Vo plays the Sorlag versus Anarchy before. He wants to play the corners, get the spit game going, and he's going to land that spit. That's going to force clawz all the way back here, but also Vo took some damage as well. However, the Mega was collected by Vo, and he really wants that heavy. But look, clawz will deny him. Rail comes out. He's got the timing as well. Really smooth passage of play there from clawz.
Really smooth, and every clutch rail that he hits just sets Vo back even more.
Man. Anarchy so fast. That was lovely movement.
clawz is doing an amazing job of just understanding openings in Quake Live. Every time he hits a rail, he knows his opportunity is now. You cannot let your opponent get away. The fact is, in Quake Live, with the shorter respawn time on the bubbles, the shorter respawn time on the small armors, your character can stack back up very easily. So clawz, with that awareness, understands the dynamic of this new version of Duel and is able to push in and finish these champions off before they have a chance to regroup.
Oh, that's amazing from clawz. Full frontal rockets. There's nothing you can do when that is happening to you. It's very, very sad when you're an Anarchy and the rockets start coming your way in close range, and clawz is going to be in a fantastic position. What nerf can Vo do now? He's down 2 champions.
He is. The final solace is the Nyx, which obviously is it has that defensive capability, but it also, you can be very aggressive utilizing the Ghost Walk, even if it is against an Anarchy, which is perhaps the hardest champion to pin down.
clawz is going to know that he doesn't have to do anything drastic in this position. We know that he loves to get aggressive, and sometimes, of course, the best defense is a good offense, and keep that damage on your opponent to limit their options, but at the same time, clawz knows he really doesn't have to risk anything. He's on the Anarchy.
Yeah, but as we said previously, I don't think anyone actually is aware if clawz has plus back bound. So I don't imagine he's going to go defensive anytime soon either.
Very fair point indeed. Well, clawz is just going to continue to run the items and have great presence on the map, and that's something we saw in the first map, Ruins of Sarnath, which he took fairly convincingly, and also we saw a lot of that from clawz, just those long-range rails connected, and that's going to leave Vo in quite the nasty place.
Indeed. on the smaller champions such as the Nyx, a rail just means you have to hide again. You have to fall back and get the smaller items. There's no way you can push in.
And the item cycling here from clawz definitely showing his Quake Live skills. That was definitely very present as far as skill sets were concerned in that game.
For sure, and although the resources aren't as important in this version, Vo definitely needs to get on them, or at least pressure them, because we can see the confidence coming out from clawz as he's rotating them and picking them up. He has a great split, and it's all too easy at the moment.
Oh, and that's worst case scenario for Vo. Great pick up there, but he gets some good rockets. It's not enough though. Vo loses every single champion. Another round claimed by clawz. Young man clawz.
The confidence, the arrogance, if you will, is astounding. The way in which he saved the inject until the very last second. Not many players would have done that. Most would have panicked, particularly in a QuakeCon final.
clawz with the lightning gun and mega starts to this round of blood run. Nice lick of damage.
It's the heavy armor though, which could be a crucial mistake.
Yeah, that is definitely pretty hard to deal with, especially considering he's on the Sorlag. He just goes so far on Sorlag.
Hesitant, but again, does not have a lightning gun, doesn't have any armor to work with, doesn't know where clawz is, so this is a solid play. Just trying to obtain that information. And clawz is where the Sorlag is as well.
All it takes is one direct rocket for Vo to turn everything here. As he patiently waits for that. Can't quite find it just yet, though. He's been fairly good at his predictive rockets. But again, clawz on that very fast Anarchy.
For sure, but although he does have a massive stack advantage, he is also aware that the Sorlag is a large tanky champion in a right, and also has the spit, which could pretty much insta-give you.
And you can see that Vo's playing this really slow right now. He wants to make sure that perhaps if he really tests the patience of clawz, maybe clawz will get over aggressive and make a mistake and play into a Sorlag who has a greater stack.
Exactly, but whilst that is a sound tactic and can work if your opponent is being crazy aggressive, when they're being patient, it is also something that is a risky tactic in its own right as well.
We're in a situation where clawz is much more willing to take risks because he's already got that sacrifice grand finals under his belt, and because he's just that's just the guy that he is, versus Vo, who is in a position where this is everything. Do you think Vo is not taking enough risks?
I think, yes, you definitely need to be proactive. And when your opponent isn't coming at you, this type of defensive play doesn't always have its merits. You eventually need to make a move of your own.
Let's see if Vo can find that. He's, at the moment, looking for information to perhaps inform him as to what move he could make against clawz.
But it's just respect at the end of the day. He has an amazing respect for the level of clawz's mechanical skill. He doesn't feel that he can match up in a one-on-one fight and has to play this kind of methodical, backwards, and smart game.
He picked up the rail hit though, so he might feel confident going for a challenge, but now clawz is going to be in a position to fall onto the mega. Another good rocket coming in from Vo. He's going to realize now that he's in a decent enough position to actually challenge clawz.
Exactly, and this is the opportunity. This is when he has to use that kind of 10, 15 seconds before clawz is able to get back on the items to really capitalize on that massive stack advantage.
The interesting thing is, though, is that clawz realizes the angles that Vo wants to play. He's largely avoiding them, but here it is. Oh, like ships in the night. Looks like eventually they'll discover each other, though. The spotlight's being shone onto Vo as he's down low. Oh, the rocket's decent there from clawz. That's going to send Vo back. But here is Vo once again, going for this heavy, going for the challenge. Can he find the acid spit? Looks like it's not going to connect to anything just yet. Able to avoid everything is clawz. As now clawz goes in for the final blow, but he won't be able to do so. Vo able to escape. The flick rail does not connect. And once again, both players start to take it slow.
It is so unsettling when it seems that your opponent has no limits, because it kind of breaks your traditional mentality, the duel, that the unexpected gets in the way. We saw clawz rocket jumping over to the heavy armor with no stack to his name. He has no rights to do that. And this is really putting Vo off because he doesn't know what clawz is going to throw at him.
And we're basically, I think, going to be playing a one champion versus one, like a one life game, basically, a sudden death game between these two players. Neither one wants to give up their first champion.
I think this is the tactic that Vo is looking to employ in this grand final.
And it could work. He's going to fall into Vo's trap. Oh, but there's no follow rail from Vo, no acid spit either. So clawz is going to be fine. And Vo was looking for that perfect opportunity just like that for so long. And finally he gets it, but it doesn't amount to a kill.
Yeah, it is the fact that Vo is playing not to lose. He's quite happy to stay alive because as long as he has his 3 champions, he's happy for clawz to have his, and he gets that one kill, that one trap that works in the overtime. That is enough for Vo.
And I suppose as well, he's in a spot where if clawz is able to hit a couple rails back to back, Vo can always, he has the health to sustain that. And oh, well, you have the assist spit here. This engagement could mean everything. Vo gets it, rocket in. And finally, Vo's strategy pays off. The patience and focus, he never doubted it. And now he's a champion ahead. And there's 20 seconds to go in this round for an equalizer from clawz.
That was ideal. It was strategy to perfection. The weaker Anarchy running around the corner into the spit, and now Vo is 10 seconds away from evening up this second map.
Yeah, playing the teleporters, great stuff there from Vo. He's going to bring himself into the round. One more second, and there it is, Vo.
This is what we have been saying. This is what we said yesterday when he got into the grand final. It is Vo's mentality that makes him a champion. He has a warrior's mentality where he is willing to do what is necessary to win games. Yes, he's not the most gifted, mechanically skilled player, but he matches up to the best in the world by having the right mentality, grinding out games, and adapting to do what is necessary to win.
Speaking of adaptations at SX, look at the difference here.
Yeah, we get a Sorlag.
First pick, clawz, Sorlag.
And clawz is adapted in himself. As you rightly said, he's saying, I can't push into you when you're playing so defensive. So and you're not challenging me on the items. So I'm just going to come up and match your stack and then rush at you with even numbers.
And this could really work out very well, but how well will Vo react to this? Will he change his approach effectively? Good damage done onto clawz, though, as Vo now falls back in a way that LG is still causing problems. Very low, but still, clawz will live on. Picks up the health bubbles, and he'll be fine after all.
I think Vo's happy with this, actually, because now this is also almost playing into Vo's strategy because clawz is going to feel more confident to push in. And as we see, as long as Vo has that escape option, he's doing significant amounts of damage to clawz. So clawz does need to be aware that Vo has his number if that's the case.
I love that we have this completely different map, a completely different change of pace, strategy, approach, whatever you want to call it. But these players are...
Sure. I am very, very wary, though, that look at the stack now. I don't think that Vo can let this happen because if clawz gets in there and does catch him, it's always going to be lights out for Vo.
Yeah, essentially clawz can hit a little bit less and still come out with a kill.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we can say that clawz is ever going to hit less, so...
Exactly, yeah. And here he is going to find his opponent, Vo going up for the heavy. The LG's locked on. Oh my God, that's so much damage. Exchange. Oh, the flick shot's good. And that's what you have to do in Quake Champions. You have to be a closer. And that's exactly what clawz is. And a beautiful finish, but can there be another? Yes, there is. You don't want to turn in that direction, Vo. This is problematic. It's rapidly coming out of control here for Vo.
He needs to stabilize. There's 3 minutes remaining. He does have to kill 2 of clawz's champions. That move was too aggressive. I'm not sure where he thought. I think he might have thought that clawz doubled back, but either way, a complete misread from Vo, and the situation is escalating out of control quickly. Ghostwalk is down. He has 20 seconds to be very careful.
Great rail from clawz. He's so good at hitting these very skinny character models at distance with those rails. It really makes a big difference in duel, and we've seen it be a problem for Vo, always putting him on the back foot. Now clawz is looking not only to put him on the back foot, but to put him 6 feet under.
Yep, and that would take the second map, putting him up 2-0 in this series. But there are 2 minutes remaining.
And there it is, goes for the drop hit. Good defensive rocket. clawz, though, not really deterred by that one, though he will pick up some armor along the way. And look for the next big pickup, which is the Mega, which is up right now, and it will be clawz's as well. And just as you said, this seems to be a trend.
It does, but with 20 seconds on the Ghostwalk, there is no way he could have challenged there. But the problem is he just needs to get out. There's no way he can stick around in any of these corridors.
This feels like an impossible situation for Vo right now. And look at this. clawz understands that, willing to go for the rocket jumps to try and get himself in position for the items, to try to get himself in position for the fights, and to close it down.
And this is good patience by clawz. Recognizing the situation that he can push in, but it's extremely risky when Vo's playing the corners, plus the fact that clawz is 2 champions up. Again, just thinking, I do not need to do this after the initial push. So it's a great awareness of when he can push in and when he needs to back off.
Vo has to find 2 frags in a minute and a half. This might be the start of it, though. 2 good rockets to open it up. Has to go for the Ghostwalk. Goes aggressive. Surely clawz will turn around. He realizes what's going on. The pursuit is there, and clawz picks up the frag quite easily. Vo, unable to do it. Another round there for clawz. Brilliant play out of him. Right now, he is looking so in the zone.
Brilliant play. And you asked the question, does this kid have a champion's mentality? And with the switch to the Sorlag in the end, there's that macro recognition of what is needed in the duel. He was analyzing it himself. He's not a one-dimensional player. He does have the qualities needed to succeed.
He looks unaffected.
Yeah,
completely
I'm amazed.
unaffected. As if he was in his bedroom, you know, with his socks on, drinking a cup of tea, playing some Quake, you know.
It's crazy how calm this guy is. The fact he is hitting probably more rails than he's hit in his life in the finals. Doesn't look, no jitters whatsoever. Like Zoot said, he's only won $270. Here we go, I'm going to play for 100K, no problem.
Yeah, and now he's 2 maps up against Vo. One more map, that's all it takes. And clawz will win not just the sacrifice, but he will be crowned the champion of QuakeCon 2017 duel.
The problem is now for Vo, his strategy hasn't worked. He's 2 maps down. clawz has a buffer. This now for clawz gives him the opportunity to go even more aggressive, to force Vo into mistakes because he has that buffer of a map advantage. And it's going to be extremely difficult going into this map now for Vo to stabilize, to try and force the game, because that's what he has to do. And it's Corrupted Keep, which is perhaps clawz's best map.
And it's not the best one for Vo, that's for sure. And Vo knows this. He knows the pressure on him.
But we did see in the clutchest game of yesterday, Vo taking down Avec on this map.
Yep.
He has the capacity. He was able to up the pace quite considerably from previous maps. He was able to use his background, his CPM background, be super aggressive. And I definitely think, yes, he can't match the mechanical skill of clawz. He will admit that himself, but he can match it upstairs in taking the relevant fights, picking up the pace and catching clawz off guard. Then, if you do that, you can have the upper hand, and that's when he's going to win those battles.
All right, well, this could be it for clawz. He could win here, or it could be the start of something special. Let's hear that energy, QuakeCon.
I like it. I like it a lot.
This could be the map where history is made, where the young blood, a 19-year-old, is crowned champion, or Vo starts his legacy all over again. It's Corrupted Keep. Can clawz get off to these amazingly immaculate starts that he seems to be doing flawlessly every time? Well, he's going to go for a very quick aggression. I guess he wouldn't be clawz if he didn't. Doing loads of damage, he connected the acid spit. Right now, both players incredibly low, but clawz has better positioning. Look at this, chipping away with the MG, dodging the rockets. Where can Vo go? He's in trouble right now, but still, clawz is too weak to pursue.
Absolutely no fear from clawz. Standing there with 11 health against Vo, who had a greater stack. Absolutely amazing.
clawz now just forced to play a little bit slower at the beginning here. And we need to see Vo, I think, with more confidence and not to be overly bullied, not to be scared of clawz's legendary aim and mechanics.
I completely agree. It is now the time. There is no opportunity after this map. You have to go home with your head held high, saying, I did everything I could. Take the game to clawz, go out like a man if you have to.
And here goes clawz looking for the pursuit once again. The Mega should be collected here. Finding the great drop onto Vo. Vo in trouble. Goes for the inject. It's not good enough though. clawz once again. His presence is undeniable. The pressure that he's putting onto Vo is absolutely disgusting again.
Wow.
Vo is nailed to the wall there. The electrocution coming in from clawz. That LG of his is quite something. And right now he's looking like he wants the third frag immediately.
He does. This is exactly what we saw yesterday when he played against Kula. As soon as he gets one, he goes and goes and goes on the aggressive. And this is the most difficult time of the map. You have to try and get away. Something Kula wasn't even able to do. So can Vo get away, stabilize and get some items?
And here comes clawz. Who's going to be able to dodge that though? Here's the sound cues of this Sorlag jumping around the map. Corrupted Keep right now seems to be clawz's keep indeed, as now he looks to evict Vo with these rockets, with this LG.
There is Ghost Walk up, but he needs to save it for that spit, doing nice chip damage, enough to keep clawz away.
clawz though, really zoning Vo away from that Mega. And now clawz might give up the heavy, but look at the position for damage. He could get a good bit of it, but he won't get too much. Vo able to evade that as well.
At the same time, we've just come off the back of a map where I don't think Vo even thought about challenging for major items. And at the start of this, he's getting on them regularly. So that is a positive note. He's trying to impose himself.
That's a really good ambush there from Vo0. It does take away all the armor from clawz, and Vo0 as well, trying to challenge into this Mega, but the positioning here from clawz is quite good. He's actually going to give it up here and go for this heavy. This is a great decision right now because the Mega's up and it's not being taken by Vo0. Should Vo0 have actually jumped once more there, I think he would have run straight into clawz and died. So really good decision making from clawz.
Yep, 5 seconds into the Ghost Walk is up, and then Vo0 could be a little bit more confident.
And Vo0 taking significant damage there. Same can be said, though, for clawz, as he has to go back and bound his way towards that light armor. And now he can put the pressure back on again, knowing that Vo0 is not going to want to take a fight right now.
Exactly. This is one of the things we spoke about in previous series. The fact that, yes, the Sorlag has a great stack, but if you're able to chip her down, then she takes a long time to get back to that fighting capability because of that very, very large natural base. And so in doing that, then you have the opportunity to follow up.
Here he goes, clawz back onto the Mega position, but he's on the low ground at the moment. You can see Vo0 is trying to bully him away with good rockets, and the predictive rockets have been quite strong from Vo0. But he's only on one champion now. It's the Nyx. Ghost Walk is up here, and that's a good connection. That's going to push clawz back into the heavy.
Indeed, and he could have just bought himself a free Mega health.
It's going to be very scary. Vo0 pinned against the wall there. The LG doing immense damage.
Wow.
Forced for the Ghost Walk. Still good damage from Vo0 as well, though.
Yep, it is, but once again, 35 seconds on the Ghost Walk, 2 champions down. There is, and he's stuck.
He's stuck. Sent into space. And, I mean, clawz knew exactly that Vo0 had no health, and there's only 2 bubbles available for him to really take in that situation.
Exactly. When you're a champion without any kind of self-healer capabilities, and you are low, obviously what you need to do is pick up the bubbles. And clawz, recognizing that, just pushed in very, very fast, found Vo0, caught him in the corner.
So another good start here for clawz, wins the first round, and again, Vo0's yet to put a map on the board in this grand final here at QuakeCon 2017, and clawz collecting all the weapons, casually turning back. There's the spit, there's the LG, and there's the frag once again. clawz looks remarkable.
But Vo0 is doing exactly what we said at the start of the series. He is trying to take it to clawz. Just unfortunate that he hit a little bit less, and the spit didn't do anywhere near as much damage as he expected.
And there's a big jump in prize money between first and second. $50,000 is the difference. Will clawz be able to collect that $100,000? He might feel as though he's close at this point, but Vo0, finally a sign of life from the Dutchman as he wins the rocket battle, picks up the Mega. Can he find another engagement here to quickly topple clawz?
Just playing a little bit passive.
Forces the Ghost Walk.
Retreating to the lightning gun because he knows what's clawz music. clawz is going in like a madman, and it's not paying off.
What was that from clawz?
But this is what we said. He has a buffer. He's also 1 round up in this map. He also has a 2-map buffer. So if that high-risk, high-reward play pays off, it just might win you QuakeCon. And if it doesn't, hey, I've got a couple maps to fall back on.
Yeah, he might be forced just to play that high-risk style. And here he goes once again. 2 Anarchies bounding in the air, exchanging LG, but Vo0 trying to back away. clawz with such good connections there. Can Vo0 get himself out of this one? The pursuit is on, hot on his heels, but the Anarchies of fast movement is everything here, and we know Vo0's good for that. Has to replenish quickly on those health globes, and he's now going to play the information again. Can he figure it out? clawz is chilling at the heavy at the moment, and a moment of respite there for Vo0 to stack back up, picks up the Mega, and they're once again more or less on even footing, just slightly behind us, Vo0, but the light will make it even things up here. Goes for question. Vo0's, oh my goodness, so close with that one. The LG is so stunning there, so aggressive is clawz.
Nearly perfect coming out from Vo0 there with the rockets. Every engagement for Vo0 is heart-stopping, even for me. I dread to think what it's even like for him.
clawz only down to this Anarchy now, as is Vo0 only down to the Nyx. And Vo0, very nicely done there. Picks up a round.
That's going to settle him. That will settle him. He went toe-to-toe with clawz and came out on top.
That is such an important moment, isn't it? In this grand final, in the story of this grand final. The moment that Vo0 understood.
I'm in the match.
And here it is, a very fast situation. It once again goes clawz's way. You have to say that it feels as though every single round we see clawz gets the advantage straight away. That must feel so hard for Vo0.
I was about to say the same thing, and it gets to a point.
Well, it looks like Vo0 is not... Wow.
somehow.
That's what we're talking about. Vo not afraid to go straight back in there. And this was something that perhaps on Blood Run, it looked like he was too scared, but now there's no fear at all. Vo with a heroic play is going to equalize the situation. As it's 2 champions apiece now, as Vo is going to be a big presence on the map. He's collected the Mega. It's just the heavy there that will be guaranteed now for clawz, perhaps, as he now goes through onto an aggressive position.
He has timing on both items. There is a split. If he can do some damage, there is a chance he can keep clawz away from them and then get solid map control moving forward.
He's got to be very careful here as to how he manages clawz, who now tries to push in onto the Mega. He's one position on Mega. Vo is sort of locked out right now, but he has the speed, and in he goes. And he did indeed miss it. He was timing it, but that miss could cost him the heavy as well. That's the case. It looks like clawz will pick that one up. Now Vo's going to be on the back foot for a while.
He is, but at the same time, he noticed that clawz utilized the Ghost Walk, which gives you a little bit of comfort if you can keep track of where the Nyx is.
Right now, it's like watching Vo playing CPM. Seriously, just running around constantly at high speeds with the rocket. He doesn't have the stack, but all it takes is one of those fast trademark Vo flick rockets to actually bring down clawz. The Nyx does not have a big natural stack, so there's always an opportunity for one rocket to make the difference here for Vo, even if he is vastly outstacked.
Exactly, and that we are seeing Vo in his comfort zone when he's picking up the pace, utilizing this Anarchy. This is where he's found the most success in this duel and in this series.
He's just got to be careful of the LG, but there's no LG for clawz. clawz on the back foot now as he is looking for that health. Vo knows he's low. Vo knows that he's got to be looking for that health indeed, and stalking above. Can Vo find the moment to drop in? clawz is looking for it as well. Understands that Vo knows that he could have had a window of opportunity.
Yeah, clawz playing smart, not knowing where Vo is. Just moving back.
Oh, man.
2 health.
That was close. 2 health points. How many times have we seen clawz this low? There's another moment as well on Ruins, just like it. Vo's going to feel gutted, but he goes back into the fight here, head held high, but he'll now be dropped down low as clawz picks up the round. A ferocious round from Vo, and we need to see it, but he doesn't have much in the way of chances remaining to apply this style and get the victories he needs.
Exactly, it's almost a little feeling of too little too late as we go into this potentially final round of QuakeCon.
Tournament round here, indeed, for clawz. Can he make it happen? Can he make history here on Corrupted Keep as he starts off with the Sorlag? It's the Sorlag mirror, as we've seen the adjustment be made throughout the course of this grand finals between these 2 players.
This I like. We were talking about how there's been a bit of an erratic start, and with Vo losing out consistently at the start of this map. Yes, Corrupted Keep has that element built in, but it's up to you to play defensive at the start until you can get stabilized, until you can get the relevant weapons.
Here he goes, clawz, in with the LG, that's how he likes to do it. And you can see absolutely why. Great damage done, falls back onto the Mega. Vo sent very low, so close to death, but still has some armor, collecting some HP, but it's clawz who is in position to defend most of the health on the map. So Vo, I mean, he's in a horrible situation, trapped in a corner. Now it's a guessing game. Which way does he go? And it looks like clawz has the speed, goes for the pursuit. The LG's out! And Vo goes down again.
But he's on the Anarchy. He has the Anarchy still, and I believe this is a lifeline.
clawz is reading these situations so well. And now a Mega pickup, looking to keep the pressure on with his Sorlag as he is going to use those cooldown bubbles to keep the Acid Spit ready to go whenever he needs it.
It's exactly that. The Acid Spit is so powerful, and Vo is trapped.
Good damage. Vo is low. It just takes one engagement, and here it is! The LG, oh, just barely not enough, but the MG might be, and it is! Vo can't escape on the Anarchy, and now he's down to Nyx. Now he's down to his last champion. It has to start here, otherwise, that's it. clawz will win QuakeCon. Not just Sacrifice, but Duel as well. History in the making here for the 19-year-old.
There is still 3 minutes left. He has to try and use every second.
It's a moment of calm. Vo knows what's happening right now. He knows what's at stake. He knows he can't put a single foot wrong. There's no mistakes that can be made from this position. Is this when we'll see the real Vo come out, the champion Vo come out? It needs to be.
He needs to be, because as soon as clawz smells an opening, he is going to pounce on Vo.
And look at this, picks up the heavy. He's looking for the fight that could end the tournament for Vo. And could be the start of something for him. There it is, gets a spot onto Vo. Obviously, Vo can Ghost Walk, so he needs to force out the Ghost Walk first. If he can do that without using the Acid Spit, things get very, very precarious indeed for Vo. And here it is, there's the catch, forces the Ghost Walk. And this is problematic because he can't outrun the Sorlag. Acid Spit will miss. Oh no, in fact, he can. And there it is! sacrifice and duel champion.
He's not even phased.
This guy.
He's a machine. And we said Tox was the machine of Quake 4. I'm going to put clawz up there for Quake champions so far.
Is he the new Terminator?
It would seem so. The LG is there, the lack of emotion is there, the skill is there, and the champion's mentality there. This kid has it all.
I am lost for words at how good this guy actually is at not just Quake, but competing at the highest level.
No, that game was fantastic. We went into this series, we were all talking against aim up, we were all talking the aggression up, but nobody talked about the brain, the mentality, the patience, the confidence, the way in which he takes risks and makes them pay off like no other player does. It was all of that combined that really pushed him to win this QuakeCon.
There it is, lifting the trophy. It seems as though he was born to do so. There's something special about this kid. Something very special indeed.
And it is the second trophy lift of the day for clawz. But I'm pretty sure this moment may be more magical than the sacrifice one because he did it. It's his moment. It's his time to shine.
Well, it's time to get some words from our champion. We have Paul down there on the stage.
Yes, thank you very much, clawz. It's been an incredible month or so for you from the qualifiers, in 1v1, and in sacrifice. And I also want to tell everyone here at QuakeCon, you did not even practice the 1v1s. You focused on playing sacrifice, and here you are as the QuakeCon Quake World Champion.
I think there is no such word to describe my feelings right now. I don't know, man.
But you're so calm as well. How are you staying calm?
It's just in mind, man. It's just the only thing I practice to stay calm.
Okay. Your uncle's here, apparently. Where is he right now? Is he somewhere close? Come up and join him. I just want to say a few words for this man because without this man, clawz's uncle, he would not be playing Quake, ladies and gentlemen. So there we have it. I'm just going to say this one more time for you. The Quake World Champion is clawz!
Ladies and gentlemen, clawz is your winner for the dual championship at the Quake World Championships. Unbelievable. I am ready to cut the ribbon and welcome in the new blood. He's made a name for himself over the course of the past 3 months. And not just that, it's like a freshly plot of laid cement, and clawz came in and just wrote his name in there and then put his hand in there, and it will be there forever.
That's right. You know, I'm really impressed with this play, especially in sacrifice, watching him through the duel. You saw me out there in the crowd shaking my head sometimes at the stuff he was doing. It was just unbelievable. You know, there's been various eras in Quake, going all the way back to Thresh, up to Rafa recently, and I honestly, I'm going to say it right now, I think we just witnessed the birth of the next big thing in Quake, and I think it's clawz.
No, the guy's been absolutely unbelievable. I really felt that Vo's defensive style would be able to counter clawz a bit more, but that unrelenting aggression, that world-class, and we've got to say the world's best aim we've just been seeing. And just to give you a little bit of statistical information there, that was 27 frags in total for clawz,
Wow.
to Vo's 12. So it was, although there were some close-fought rounds, that was an unfortunate domination in the end.
I mean, Machiavelli, to quote you out in the crowd, if I had an LG that good, I'd be in their face too. And the sheer amount of aggression and just that decision-making on knowing I'm going for it, I'm not. We've seen that type of attitude in other players as well, and I think that's one of the things that just makes him a champion.
A player after my own heart,
Right?
you know? I was
Exactly.
just like, I love that stuff. I love how he doesn't hesitate, and he goes in, he's like, it's just unbelievable the way he played. You know, just, oh my gosh, the relentless aggression, like you say, he felt he had an advantage. Vo was, you know, changing it up, trying to play more of a rocket style, and even if he'd land that, you know, good prediction rocket, clawz just kept coming. And I like the adjustment where we were all talking about the adjustment, you know. He didn't start picking Sorlag till later for his first champion. And I think he noticed the change in Vo. Vo started to go a little more defensive, a little more passive. especially on Blood Run, where he tried to get he got
Right.
the 1-0 round, and I think clawz recognized that. He says, you know what, flying around with Anarchy when somebody's playing defensive with Sorlag, probably not a good thing. So let me get a Sorlag so we have equal stack. I can spit at you, and it worked out great for him.
I mean, like, the important point off of that is it worked out great because he always had map control. And it's like Sorlag versus Sorlag. I'm going to put my money on clawz's Sorlag when he's stacked all the time. I think that was really tough for Vu.
It felt like he was saying when he was mirroring him a little bit, anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
And in terms of the control as well on top of that is unbelievable.
Yep, and that means that clawz is going to walk away with a total of $175,000. $75,000 his part of the sacrifice winnings, and then $100,000. That's all him, ladies and gentlemen, from the duel competition. An absolutely amazing end to this tournament here at the Quake World Championship. I think between the new faces, the old faces, and everyone in between, this has certainly been one of the most entertaining QuakeCons for me, not only in the sheer amount of talent that is here within the event, but also the fact that it is the debut of Quake Champions. And I hope that more people are even more excited about the competitive future that this game has between duel and between sacrifice, and getting to see both of these things played at the highest level. It really does excite me for the future of Quake Champions.
I'm very much looking forward to the future tournaments we got planned for Quake Champions. I want to see if I'm right here. I really think clawz, this is not the last we've seen of him.
No,
I really believe going forward, this kid may ramble off a string of tournaments. I mean, I'm literally in awe of how good this kid is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead.
Well, we've got a couple more big tournaments going through to the end of the year. I'll be very surprised not to see him attending those and making his mark over there. Also got to throw Vu a bone as well. I mean, that's unbelievable determination. You could see the emotions round by round playing from him, so I'm sure the Maestro guys are going to be very, very happy with him. But seriously, I'm wondering, little call out. Let's see a bit of Cypher versus clawz.
Maybe we'll get a chance to ask him about that in just a second. We've got clawz joining us now. First off, clawz, on the whole panel, let me just, congratulations, man. Unbelievable. The whole weekend, I think you really surprised all of us. And I want to ask you a question. Did these names mean anything to you? Fatality, 0-4, Machiavelli, Immortal, Cypher. Like, do those names ring a bell, right?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like you have kind of reached legendary status over the course of a single weekend.
I kind of have same feeling at the moment.
Well, I'll say it for you. You have reached legendary status. I think we've seen something that people will not forget. One question we have: what is your future in Quake Champions look like? We know there's more events coming up for the rest of the year. Does this win excite you to go play in more tournaments?
I think this victory is not the last, and I'm gonna keep competing until, I don't know, until...
Great. Well, we hope to see you in action some more, so
we gotta know, what are you gonna do with all that prize money?
I have no clue, man, at the moment, because I didn't expect such big amount of money.
We could start making a list, right?
Yeah. Well, if you need any advice, I got to GoFundMe. Maybe you can, throw a little change my way.
So you did any question?
No, I'm really curious. I know we heard about you and Cypher, and unfortunately Cypher's not able to attend here, but we know he's a strong player. Do you think that things would go differently if you were to play him?
Huh? Can you repeat this?
Do you think that your results versus Cypher would be the same that we've seen from you versus everyone else this week?
I can't tell about results, but I would feel same confident as against any other enemy, that's for sure.
I mean, that's something you've proven to us, not only in Sacrifice, but in Duel. You treat all of your opponents with the utmost respect, but you also have your own style. And we classified it as sort of what we call calculated aggression. And to put it in simple words, you like to fight a lot, right?
Yeah, that's true, man.
What is it about your skills that make you like to play that? Like, why do you like to fight so much?
Because I hit a lot, man. That's simple. I can out-aim everyone. Why should I not use it in the game? And especially on land, when no one expects you to rush like that, I'll just do it because I don't care.
Well, on behalf of the entire panel, do you have one final question?
Yeah, I was curious because you didn't really pick Slash at all during the final, and it's something we've been seeing you play in during the sacrifice. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, there was a reason because I played against Vo, and to beat Vo, I have to play Anarchy anyway. Because Slash previous time didn't work at all.
And can you tell us a little bit? We noticed you didn't pick Sorlag right away, and we felt Vo kind of, tried to slow the game down on you, and maybe you felt Anarchy wasn't best based on his style, and you switched it up to Sorlag. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I noticed that he's trying to play, make him the sudden death. So of course, with Anarchy, I'll be in disadvantage if I won't kill him. And that's why I picked Sorlag.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of the whole panel, clawz, congratulations. Another round of applause for the Quake World Championships Duel and Sacrifice champion. clawz, thank you very much. What a treat. What a treat this weekend.
It was a treat to watch this young man. It really was.
I think that if this is kind of the kickoff for Quake Champions, if this is the games, the talent, the legacy that we can expect, that if you're a fan of Quake, or even if you're not, you damn well might be soon enough, because this was a great weekend of esports.
Yeah, I got completely blindsided by the results over here. We've got some amazing stories that have been created all the way through this, and it's now setting a precedent here in Quake Champions where the history now begins. I'm really curious to see what the path is going to be.
Yeah, what new players will come in, what old players. There's still a large pool of new and old that I'm sure we've not unleashed into the world yet.
Well, I'm sure all these other veterans, they're going to take notes from this tournament, and they're going to be back with the fury. clawz is still going to have to battle through at the next tournament, but I just can't say enough how impressed I am with this young man as a player. Hat tip to clawz. Seriously, I'm at a loss for words for his play, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the future.
Well, now might be the best time to be at a loss for words, because it's time for us to say goodnight. And I want to thank all of the casters, all the panelists that have joined us throughout the weekend, all the players and all the folks that have tuned in. The spirit of Quake has always lived and will always live, and I am excited to see the new era in Quake Champions. We got to see new blood, we got to see old blood, and we certainly got an amazing show put on for us. So we hope that you'll continue to watch Quake, and we hope that we'll see you on the battlefields as well playing. Thank you for joining us to the Quake World Championships presented by AMD. And one last time, congratulations to our winners, QuakeZ and clawz.